Hi guys, this is day 2, officially day 2 of the hackathon. Tuesday, so we'll be having our third session. On GitHub for collaboration, how to leverage GitHub in your development process. So I will be the first speaker of tonight. My name is Daisy Kirui. I am co-founder of this tech community that brings you this hackathon. And I think we've met with most of you. So let's get into it. So I'll start by sharing my screen. Let me share my screen. Okay, can someone confirm they can see my screen?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, so the first part of this event today, of this session today, showing you guys how you're gonna submit your project at the end of this, on Friday. Okay, a bit of your project. So one thing that you'll require along with your pitch decks is your code files. So how we are gonna want you to submit your code files is as follows. So I hope all of you are listening, especially the group leads, because you're the ones who are gonna be doing this. So let me minimize this. So I'm assuming everyone here has a GitHub account. If you don't have one, you can just go to github.com. And then you just sign up for an account. So, okay, mine is logged in, but if you don't have an account, you'll just come here and find your account. So, so if you don't have an account, kindly create one. And I'm assuming at least one person in your team has an account. Give me a moment. Okay, so so I'm assuming at least one person in your team has a GitHub account. If you don't have one, kindly create one. It's a good way to, one, of course, version control your projects so that you keep track of the changes that you make in your code files. And then two, of course, you can use it as a digital portfolio if you're a developer of all the projects that you do. And then thirdly, it's a good way to collaborate with other people. Like, as you can see, this one was something we collaborated on with someone called Cynthia. So so it's a good way to collaborate, working remotely, but on the same project. So that's why GitHub, Git and GitHub are important. So Git is now like the thing that tracks every single change within your code. And then GitHub is now the platform in which you interact with Git. So that is, I'm sorry I don't have slides. So because I was assuming it will just be technical, but you can follow through with what I'm saying. So this is my GitHub. This is my GitHub account. As you can see, I have my README here, and a couple of projects. So you see it highlights the languages that you use. I mostly use JavaScript. I don't know why there's no JavaScript project over here. Anyways, so how you're gonna submit it, as I said, one of the things that we're focusing on in this hackathon is enabling you guys to build startups from this, or just build your knowledge on how to start a startup from a technical background. So the first thing you're gonna do here is click on this icon that has your profile. Then you go to your organizations. So as you can see, I have a bunch of organizations. So the reason why you're creating an organization is to separate the code files from your account. So once you're here on organization, you go to the free plan, this one. So as you can see, let me go back. On the free plan, you have unlimited public and private repositories, and then you have automatic security and version updates, 2000 CI/CD minutes per month, 500 MB of package storages, issue reports, community support, GitHub Co-Pilot, and GitHub code spaces. So yeah, so the other ones have they have more premium features because of course you're paying for it. So that we'll use the free one right now. But okay, I forgot to mention. So you see how there's here enterprise. So enterprise is one of the GitHub packs. You remember the student pack I talked about on Sunday? So enterprise is within the student pack. So if you have the student pack, you can access this enterprise. So I can, because I have the student pack. But because I'm not assuming everyone access the student pack, because not everyone is a student, we will use the free one. So I'm expecting all the teams to create free organizations for their code files. So once you start, you can create here your organization name. So let's say my team name is Hack4PWD, and then my contact email will be, of course, my email. Yeah. And then this organization belongs to my personal account. So that's one member of your team. And then of course you have to verify this. So yeah, submit. Is it that yeah, it's a direction. So once you verify that, get GitHub Copilot business. That's not necessary because that's an additional amount. So we'll just do this. Yeah, next. So yes. So once you've done that, you see my organization has been created. So I can now add my fellow teammates. So you add all your teammates here by their usernames. That's why it's important for everyone to have GitHub accounts. So once you add them here, like let's say I skipped this step. I've added my teammates. Let's assume I've added my teammates. You'll get to this interface right over here. So you have your organization created, and then you go back to your profile. Let me open my profile. You go back to your profile, you'll have now your organization here. So this last one over here. So I have a bunch of organizations, but the last one is this one that you've created. So you can just click on it, and then you're back to where we were. So once you're on this interface, over here, and all your team members have joined your organization, what you do next is create a repository. So you can click here, create one, or click here and create a new repository. Aside from that, if you had already started building, you can import a repository. So if you've already started working from today, I mean, not from today, before today, you can copy your repositories into your organization. So importing, so you just click on import, and then you provide all these details like the repository name, the owner of the repository, and so on and so forth. And then when you begin import, that repository will be imported into your organization. That is in the case that you had started hacking before today. But if you hadn't, now I'm expecting all of you to go to repositories, then you create a new repository. So let's say my repository will be called, let's say, application, and then description. This is an application for the hackathon. Let me see, a web. This is a web application for the hackathon. Yeah. Then make it public so that when you submit your your projects you're able to see. So make it public. Post hackathon, you guys can make the repository is private if you decide to build on it. So when it's private, everyone in your organization has access to it, but people externally cannot access your repository in your code files, for privacy and security and all of those things. Then you can decide to add a README, but I won't in this step, and then you create your repository. So if you're a developer, I'm sure you're familiar of all this, of what's this, the flow of working with Git and GitHub. So now that you've created your repository within your organization, you can just initialize it like we usually do, and then work on it, and then now continue with your normal process. So I think I will go to the point where you can now access your repository in VS Code, and then now we move to Copilot. Hilary will take it from there. So once you're here, there are 3 ways of initializing Git and having it on your machine locally. 1, you can use Git bash. 2, you can use your command line, or if you have Linux OS, you can use Linux commands, and then 3, you can use the GitHub desktop. So I usually use Linux commands. As you can see, I have my Ubuntu here. But for guys who are new here, I think I won't use my command line. Okay, in this case, my Ubuntu. So if you're using Ubuntu, then I can assume you guys are familiar with it. You just you open your Ubuntu, then you follow these steps, and then you now, what is it called? You now clone your repository on your machine, then you can now start working. But now for beginners, I think I can use GitHub Desktop. It is much simpler. So this was something else I was working on. So I will go here. If you don't have GitHub Desktop, you can just find it here. Yeah, GitHub Desktop download. Then you download for Windows. So this is the version that I have. So let me copy this link and put it in the chat. Sorry. Yeah, so that's the link for downloading GitHub Desktop. So once you download GitHub Desktop, you'll get this application. So me, because I was working on something, let me try and remove it. Yeah. So let's say when you access it, it won't have this part, because you see mine is a repository that was opened. So you'll click on File, and then you clone a repository. So once you clone a repository, it will bring all the repositories that are on your GitHub profile. So if you go to my GitHub profile and close that, if you go to my GitHub profile, you'll see all the repositories that I've ever cloned on my machine are here, right? So you can search. I'm not seeing the one we created, which was within the organization Hack4PWD, and the repository is called application. So alternatively, I can use URL. So there's github.com. So your GitHub will be tied to your GitHub. Your GitHub desktop will be linked to your GitHub account. The setup, once you download it, the setup is very easy to follow through. So once it's linked, automatically your repositories that are on your GitHub account will come here on your desktop. Now, I'm not seeing the one that we created. It's not here. I'm assuming because it's within an organization and just not on my account. So we click on URL, and then we go to where the repository is. So here's my repository, and then you can copy this HTTPS. Yes, you click this on HTTPS, not the SSH. So here you copy that, and then you now just clone it here, and then you choose the local path for where you want it to be cloned, and then you clone. So yeah, so it will clone your application. Now, okay, it's now cloning the repository called application. So once that's cloned, yeah, it opens immediately like that. So as you can see, the current repository that I'm on my GitHub desktop is called application written right here, and there are 0 changes made to this file. So now you can open it in Visual Studio Code. So you should have Visual Studio Code installed. Let me get the link. Yeah. So you should have Visual Studio Code installed on your machine as your IDE. That is if you're working with this IDE. I know there are other IDEs available. Yeah, but I'm gonna use Visual Studio Code for this demo. However, you're not limited to using that. And yeah, yeah. So you open in Visual Studio Code and then you should be able to see your repository on your Visual Studio Code. So that's the workflow. So if you're using your Linux commands, you would have gone to your command line, git init, git clone, git, I've forgotten the commands, git init, git clone, so on and so forth. Then you create a README file, then you commit, and then you push the changes. If you're working with desktop, you follow this flow that I have shown. So I think desktop would be much easier for beginners because it's because of the user interface. So once you're here, you can see we have opened our repository called application. So I'm trying to, I think my Visual Studio Code is slow a bit. Yeah, let's give it time. Yeah, so yes, I trust the authors. Yes. So once that's done, now you can just, let me say I want to create a README file. So here we have a readme.md. Let's give it some time. Does anyone have questions? I think I can take questions as I wait. Oh yeah, Python for the win. It's not my primary language, but yeah, Python is good. I think Khalid, you can specify which link you want. Is it for the meeting? Is it for today's session? So yeah. So yeah, so as you can see, I've created a README file here. So I can just type hi. Let me type hi. Yeah. So when you're here, once you're here on your application, like let's say you're here. Oh, apologies for my VS Code. Okay. So once you're here, you can open your terminal, new terminal. So the terminal will work like now your command line. So when you're here, you can now run your scripts. For example, let's say I'm working on a JavaScript file. I think you can create one. I can create one called main.js. And then, don't know why it's taking so long. I hope we're all together. Yeah, no questions. Yeah, so I've created another file. I've created the first one, a README file, where you guys will now be documenting your entire project. Okay, do your technical documentation. So you can write here what your project is about, your team name, yeah, description of the project. And then also you can now create like the technical documentation. For example, you can say all the pages that you have. You can say where it is accessible. If you used a module or a different documentation, you can document it here in your README. So on my main.js, waiting for my terminal to load. So mine is Ubuntu on Windows. So I don't have two OSs. I have Ubuntu on Windows, running on Windows. I'm still waiting for my terminal. Okay, so I think here we have to save it. Okay, for purpose of demonstration, let me just continue with what I was doing, then we'll come back to this once the terminal loads. So anyways, so now we've created a README file and we've created a main.js. So once you go back to your GitHub desktop, you can see that the changes have appeared here. You can see here there are two changed files. That's why I'm saying it's easier to work with this if you're a beginner because it's very visual. You can see what's going on. So here you'll come, you create a summary. So creating a summary is equivalent to creating a commit comment. So let's say I want to added files, no, created files as my comment, created files. And then I commit to main. So when you commit to main, you're committing to the main branch of that repository, but still locally on your machine. So it's almost immediate. I think my laptop has a lot of things. Yeah, so once it commits to main, you'll see the first thing that appears here is to publish the branch. So now when you're publishing, the branch is now pushing the commits to the main branch, then it will now reflect on your GitHub, on your repository, like online. So let's see. So here it's still running. Yeah, so it has already published the changes that you made. So when you go back to our GitHub here, where we were initializing the repository, and you refresh it, you should see, yeah, you should now see our repository has been created. Apologies for my machine. Okay, yeah, so, okay, but you've gotten the workflow of this. You create the organizations and then you create the repositories. So if you have one or two repositories, you can create all of them. And then that repository, all the team members who are coding can clone them on their machines and then publish different branches. And then your team lead will merge the branches according to now what you guys are working on. So that is the complete workflow of working with GitHub organizations. So my machine is okay, my Chrome tab is hanging. I don't know if it's GitHub. Let me close it.
So meanwhile, there's a question in the chat. I don't know if you can answer it. It says, what do you do when you turn your GitHub account to an organization and then it refuses to log you in after the account has been converted?
Oh, no. Don't convert your accounts to organizations. Just create an organization. Don't convert your account. You see me, I still have my account. But I have created an organization, added all my team members, and then we're all working that organization, but from our individual accounts. So no, don't convert your personal accounts to organizations. Just create a new organization as you've done. Have I answered your question? I don't know what I've never converted my accounts to an organization, clearly. So I don't know how to reverse that. But yeah, disclaimer, please do not convert your accounts to organizations. Just create organizations, add your team members, and then hack from there. I mean, code from there. Is there another question? I think I'm pretty sure that there is material out there on how to reverse that, like maybe on YouTube or ChatGPT. You can ask ChatGPT or just reading documentation because I know GitHub has the GitHub docs for giving support. My machine is hanging. What do we do now? Yeah, but please try and find docs on how you can undo that. Hey, it's back. So yes, so once I've refreshed it, you can see the files that you created, the main.js, the readme, and then the readme is what appears here. That's what I'm saying. It should have now the documentation for your project. So yeah, and then of course our commit message, the one that I wrote as a summary is here. And then yeah, so at the end of this, we'll expect you now to submit the link to your organization. So you go to your organization, like let's say this is your, sorry, this is your profile, all right? So we'll expect you guys now to click on your organization. And then once you're here, just copy the link. And then we will provide now the form for you guys to fill. And then that's now what you will submit. So once you give us that, we will send it now to, I want to call them our knowledge partners. So our knowledge partners are the ones who are gonna go through your code. So your code needs to be well documented and the commit messages should be very, very brief, but very descriptive so that we know what you guys are thinking while coming up with the coming up with the code essentially. So we'll expect like good documentation, nice commit messages. Don't just say created files, say maybe created the setup files or updated this feature. Like let's say you're updating your buttons. So updated buttons on that particular file. So yeah, so that is it on how you guys are gonna submit your your repositories, I mean your organizations, then they'll be reviewed and yes. And then also over here on people, we expect that we see for people. You can have the admin, I mean the owner as the one who creates the organization, but you expect to see four people here. So even if they are UI UX designers in your team or guys who don't necessarily use GitHub, but they are in tech, we expect that they create GitHub accounts, and then you guys are all on this. So we'll expect to see 4 people here on your organization, and then your repositories can be as many or as few as you want. But we're asking that all your repositories should have like proper documentation on your README files. So yeah, that is it. So you can follow my GitHub account, just called Daisy Kiri like that. And yeah, you can fork some of my repositories. Yeah, because I also fork from other people and I'm learning like MS or GitHub themselves. So I think that was supposed to be it for my session. I don't know if Larry will be joining us. He was having some technical difficulties. Let me find that out. If you have questions, kindly just continue texting in the chat, or you can unmute and ask. So give me a minute. Okay, so I don't think he will be able to join us. He's having like a power outage in the area. So I think I can just touch a little bit on what he was going to do. So he was gonna start with GitHub Copilot and then show you how to automate your workflows. So I will provide resources and materials you can read on that, and then I can show you GitHub Copilot. I can't go through the setup because it's already set up, but I will show you the documentation I used for the setup. So let me go here. I don't know if I clone that specific repository. So yeah. So here, this one is provided by, I'm assuming GitHub themselves. So I used this process to set up GitHub Copilot and code spaces. So code spaces, how it works is essentially it's like VS Code, but now in the cloud. So if you let's say there's a project you're working on, right? And you don't want to move with your machine. So you host it on a code space, and then whenever you you want to work on it, you can work on it online. So that is the files that I used. You can just come here, you can click the link, come here, and then you can fork this repository. I don't think I changed anything. Yeah, I didn't change anything. So you can just fork it here and then it will come to your own, account. So anyways, so this will help you set up GitHub Copilot. Will it help you set up Git? Yeah, it will. Yeah, Copilot. Alternatively, yes, in your GitHub student developer pack, for those who are able to access it through your students, I mean by verifying your students, there's this particular bundle. Excuse me for a minute. So there's this particular bundle over here. It's called Intro to Copilot. So you can just come here. They'll teach you what Copilot is, and then they'll give you now a primer. So a primer is, for example, the repository that I shared. So this is actually why I got it. I went through this entire thing. So learn more about Intro to Copilot. Then you can see offers in the bundle is Copilot, Codespaces, so on and so forth. So you can watch the YouTube video and then start this course. It's like a 10-minute course. So once you start the course, they will give you prompts to set up Copilot on your machine. So Codespaces is something that you pay for, if I'm not wrong. Like they give you a limited time to host a code space and then you pay for. But with the student pack, you can use Codespaces without paying for it and for like an unlimited amount of time as long as you have the student pack. So yeah, so let me share this first. Mhm. Okay. So that is now this education resource for setting up Copilot. So you can just go through it, set up Copilot. on your machines. So there's this other Microsoft Learn module, if you can remember. We went through Microsoft Learn platform. So there's this module, modules in this learning part. So there's introduction to GitHub Copilot. So you do an introduction, they explain what Copilot is, and then you interact with Copilot. So I think we can, okay, it's an entire learning part. So it has several modules. So the next one is on prompt engineering, then GitHub Copilot for Business, Enterprise with JavaScript, with Python, and then GitHub Copilot features. So I think we can just go through the first one. It's very short. So interact with Copilot. Let me just close that. Let me first, actually, I already shared it in the chat. The first link I shared today. Yes, this one. So you can just click on that link and then you can follow through with me or later on in your teams. So, yeah. So the link will take you here to this learning path. So once you're here, you can start learning. Over here will be start learning. I already did. So mine is continue. So once it's on start learning, you can you'll go to this first module, which is introduction to Copilot, which is what I want us to go through right now. So interact with Copilot. Yes, this unit explores ways you can maximize your interaction with Copilot in development environment by understanding the features and capabilities and then using it effectively. So, oh yeah, this is not the first one. I already started it. Yeah, so this is where you'll start from. So GitHub Copilot, what it is, it's a fast-scale AI developer tool that can help you write code faster and with less work. So it draws context from comments and code to suggest individual lines and whole functions instantly. So yeah, so these are the learning objectives of the module. Understand how GitHub Copilot works by offering autocomplete style suggestions, then the various ways of triggering Copilot, and then Copilot for business, individuals, and enterprise, and then how to configure Copilot and how to troubleshoot. So continue. Yeah. So GitHub Copilot, this is now the introduction. So it's it's basically, okay, yeah, GitHub Copilot is a service that provides you with an AI pair programmer. So it's like you're coding alongside AI, it's coding with you. Yeah, so I see a lot of people saying AI will take your jobs, but I feel like in most cases it is someone who uses AI. Because for example, if you're using Copilot, you take shorter time and then it's easier for you to debug. I'll show you a use case where I can create an error and then Copilot um debugs for me. So yes, so these are the features. There's Copilot for chat, Copilot for pull requests, Copilot for command line, and then Copilot for business and enterprise. So now interacting with Copilot. So you can do the inline suggestions, you can do the command palette and Copilot chat and inline chat, and of course comments to code. So I think we can do one. I think I will do the chat in the inline. I hope my Visual Studio Code cooperates. So once you set it up using now the link that I've showed you, you'll also put in an extension for Copilot. Sorry for that. So here's my GitHub Copilot extension. So there's this one, as you can see, and then there's this one as well. So I have both. Let me just click on that. So I have this, and then I have this as well. I don't know why I have both. Oh yeah, so this one is the chat, and this one is the Copilot. So now when you're on your file, it's just gonna say console.log hello world. And when I save that, oh yeah, my terminal is now working. So let's say I wanna print this. I feel like I need to first see inside the application. So Yeah, so to run, I'll just type node.mila.js. Yeah, so it prints the output. Let me clear my terminal. So this is now the output. Let's say I wanted to, I want now to use Copilot. So once you configure Copilot in your VS Code, there should be this icon over here. So once you click on it, you'll have this. Then you can now click on GitHub Copilot chat. So it will come on this side. You can extend it like that. So I can say, write for me code to check whether a word is a palindrome. So, and then it gives you a code suggestion. So you can't use Copilot without knowing how to code. For example, I know what code JavaScript code looks like. So I can easily explain this to someone because I've worked with code. And that's why I think AI won't take software developers are still needed around now to explain what the AI is doing and to work alongside the AI. So here I can say, so a palindrome is ideally is a word that can be read front to back. Yeah, from the front to the back and from the back to the front, and it's the same word. For example, race car. So when you read it like this, so when you from left to right or right to left, it's the same race car. So I want to write code where whenever I provide a word, whenever I provide a word, the code checks whether the word is I want to write a function, a JavaScript function, where whenever I feed it a word, it checks whether the word is a palindrome, that it can be read from front to back. So first, I need to create the function, it's called is palindrome, and then we pass in word as the parameter. Yeah, as a parameter, and then we'll feed it different arguments of different words. So you see even the Copilot has given you comments to understand what your code is doing. So if you're coding this, and let's say you took maybe 20 minutes to come up with this in your in your application, you can easily do this in 5 minutes. And let's say the function was supposed to have a different name, we can now go alongside changing that. So yeah, so this function, if you feed it a word, let me save it first, and then print. Yeah, so we have this is the first line. Whenever you see console.log, I feel the JavaScript developers around can understand what is going on. It's equivalent to print in Python. So yeah, so the first thing it prints is this is our first line of code right here, hello world. And then the second thing is it goes through, it reads the function. And then now when we console.log, the name of the function and pass in racecar as the first argument. Racecar is a palindrome, so it returns true because that's what we said here in our code. Yeah, so when you feed it the word race cars, you can see race car started a capital R. So the first thing it does, it converts the lower all the letters of the word into lowercase letters, because you see this R will be read differently from this R. So first it converts all the letters to lowercase, then it reverses the word. So now we create, sorry, it doesn't reverse the word. We create a new what? This is what I gave him, a new variable. And then now we feed it the first variable, which is lowercase word. And then now we ask it to split the different letters, then reverse them and then join. So if after splitting and it has been reversed, it is exactly similar to what was originally, then it's a palindrome. And if it doesn't, then it's a it's not a palindrome. So even if I was to pass in the word like that, Riska with exclamation points, let's see what, yeah, it still returns true. So yeah, so we can use Copilot to write blocks of code to save our time. So me, I know how to write this. I can write it. But now because I need to, I'm participating in a hackathon for 5 days and we need to ship a product. So I can use Copilot in my development. So aside from that, you can use debugging features. For example, let me do something small. Okay, you see now what has happened here. This actually, okay, before you get to debugging, this is now inline, let me go back to the module. Yeah, inline chat. So the minute Copilot now is able to preempt that the fact that I'm writing a function and it's so most likely if I was coding out Copilot, this is exactly what I would have done. I would have done that, then created two parameters, num1 and num2, and then using the return keyword, do that. Let's see if it will give us an error. And console.log. Okay, we can call the function first. Let's see. But node. Okay, as you can see, it has not printed our sum. So I can come here to Copilot and ask, in line 18 of my main.js, I would like the output to be printed. Suggest code to enable this. Let me see what it will say. Yeah, so you see it has given me what I'm supposed to do. Essentially, it was to use console.log, which now enables so the function is working. Hence, that's why we don't have an error, but it's not printing. So if that's the issue, you can now come here to Copilot and ask, like, this and this is going on. How do I fix it? So as you can see, it has suggested this. So let's say I'm trying to think of an error I can write. Yeah, let's say I was to use, let's say, num3, right? Let's give me an error. Don't give me an error. Yes. So yes, so I now have an error. You see this thing that appears here? That is now the debugging feature of Copilot. So you click on it, then you can fix using Copilot or explain using Copilot. So fixing using Copilot, yeah, it just says function is spelled very strongly and how to correct it. So you can accept it and then it changes. And then now you can run and it will accept. Ideally, what have we done? This one we explained. Now we can just fix using Copilot. Oh, sorry. Let's explain. Let's do the one for explaining. So explain using Copilot. Yeah, then it appears here now. So yes, with all these explanations. So that is now how you leverage on Copilot. So we've seen how you can create code from prompt, how you can not fix per se, but how you can code alongside Copilot for it to help you achieve your goals faster. So like here, it said we should use console logs that it displays the output on our terminals. And then lastly, you can use Copilot for debugging. So I've shown you the extensions, but you first have to set it up to configure it. Then now you download the extensions. So if you're using the student pack, the Copilot is very easy to set up if you're using the student pack. But it should be easy as well for normal developers. I'm not sure, but yeah, I know it has the you'll have to I don't know if give a card or something, but if you're using the student pack, this should be direct. You'll access it directly. If you're not using the student pack, it might cause challenges because I know Copilot is like a premium feature of GitHub. So I don't know if you pay for it or not. I'm not sure, but I know there's like a free trial. So you can apply for that, use it for this hackathon to speed up your development process, and then now you cancel your free trial. But essentially, that is it. So Hillary was to cover Copilot, which I have, and then he was also supposed to show you how to automate your workflows for CI/CD, like to speed up your development process. But unfortunately, he is not with us. Yeah, so we won't do the automating workflows. However, I don't know if there's a Microsoft Learn module on it. Let me see.
Yeah, I think there should be. There's always a Microsoft Learn module for everything. Meanwhile, while you get your charger, there's a question here that asks, can Copilot do project-wide code manipulation and cross-file refactoring, or is it just auto-completion and inline code suggestions?
Okay, so you see on the link that I've shared for Microsoft Copilot. Personally, I use it just for inline suggestions for debugging and autocomplete. But from here I can see it does the command Copilot chat, comments to code, multiple suggestions, explanations, automated test generation. I feel like this is what um Hillary was gonna cover, like automating all of these things. So let me read your question again. Where's the question? Project-wide code manipulation and cross-file refactoring, or is it just auto? For project-wide code manipulation, you mean like multiple files, like big projects? Okay, I'm not sure I understand the question completely, but um there's Copilot for business and then Copilot, like this is the individual Copilot. So I think maybe the one in when you sign up for an organization, there's that option for putting Copilot for business. So I think now that might, I'm not quite sure, but I feel like that now might enable like the what have you said? The project-wide code manipulation and cross-file refactoring. I am not sure though. So I feel like I can task you with that. You can go and read through GitHub Copilot docs and then see if that's possible. And then you can get back to us. How does that sound? You can give me a thumbs up. But I'm not sure. I think maybe I can do some research for you. But yeah, does anyone else have a question? Yeah, Greg is saying if you don't meet the deadlines, he knows you didn't use Copilot. So yeah, so Copilot really saves you a lot of time, and it's the era of AI. So if you cannot beat them, join them. Also, me, I was very apprehensive about using Copilot because I was like, it's gonna take away my skills. It's gonna make me lazy. But it does the opposite. It even gives you like the morale to code more and stay longer because you're doing it faster, especially the debugging feature thing. So is there any other question? I'll ask Hilary if he has any materials to share on automating. Oh yeah, we're looking for that. On automating your workflows. Mhm. Let me just see if there's if there's a learning path I can share. So I know you can automate your unit tests for your project. Yeah, so he was actually supposed to do GitHub Actions. Yes, not Copilot for, he was supposed to do GitHub Actions. So you can use these different modules and learn how to automate your GitHub Actions to fasten your CI/CD process. Yeah. So yes, they're there. If you're on the Learn platform, which is free and available to everyone, regardless of whether you're a student or not, you can find materials there on how to use GitHub Actions to automate your development process. So do we have any questions? Do we have any questions? Was my session fun? Was it boring? Did you learn something? Someone can unmute and give me feedback. Najua pengine niko na mazuri na mjui.
Hi.
Hi.
I think I
Philip.
joined the. Hi.
You call Philip?
Yes, I'm Philip.
Okay. Text me for credit after this session, courtesy of GitHub. But
Okay,
tell me,
thank
how
you.
was the session?
I think I joined a bit late, and probably my question would have been covered, but I just want to, for clarity purposes, just to understand from a standpoint, you have a remote repo in GitHub or whichever repo you have, and you have you've created the repo, you've cloned it, but you want to work off of a branch, or let's say you are just a single branch, right? And you want that single branch to have presence both on your local machine and then also remotely on GitHub. So how do you, like, what's the ideal way of doing it? Because I understand you can do both ways. You can ensure you have both branches remotely and locally, but you can initiate it locally, or you can also just click it on the GitHub remotely. What's the ideal way of doing so?
I think you can do either, whatever is easy for you. Because I know you can go to the terminal, and do the Git branch and the everything and create a new branch. Or otherwise, you can go to your repositories and branch from there, and then now clone the branch to your machine. Or you can work on your machine and then now push it to the branch now through the terminal, like I've said. So either is okay as long as it achieves your objective. Have I answered your question?
Okay. Yeah. So you'll clone the branch separately, assuming you create it remotely.
Yes. And then if you branch from the main one, the person who owns the repository is supposed to review it and then can merge it to the main branch, can merge the branch you're working on with the main branch for seamless integration. So yeah.
Okay.
Do text me. Let me give you my email. Do text me, nikutumie credit.
Okay.
For responding to me today. Let me
thank you.
Yeah, so my email is down the chat. Any other question? I've seen Edna has said, Okrek has said, super fun. Thanks. It was informative. Glad it was, and it was a great session. glad it was. If you have any other questions around GitHub Copilot, I have access to campus experts and they can help you guys out. Alternatively, your technical mentors as well. Most of them are software developers or they have done some software engineering, so they know their stuff around GitHub. So you can reach out to them, your technical mentors, that is. Otherwise, mi sina ingine ya kusema. Naweza wa wish good night. Greg can close the session first. Credits za Azure zimeshaja haraka na hata tujafanya the Azure session tomorrow. Anyways, I think you can use your other teammates. Like they can do whatever you are doing with your teammates or manage your resources very well. I know how maybe you can leave like an EC2 instance or a database instance, not a database instance, an EC2 instance running and then Zshare. Please manage your credits because you only have $100 worth of credits. And we need, by the time, let's say your team now gets to pitch, which is in a month, we need you to have your whatever working. So kama zimeisha, you can switch to another person's account, use their credits, ama you use the GitHub student pack ones. Yes. Alafu kesho, the speaker will be Marjan. If you are there on Friday, she's the Azure AI engineer. So mnaweza msitalk mwone what she can do about it. I'm not promising anything, but tomorrow the session will be Azure. So join in and then tell her credits zako zimeisha. Yeah, so Greg, my piece, my work here is done.
Okay, thank you so much, Daisy, for that informative session. Yes, your work is done and it was done well, so thank you so much. I hope everybody has gotten out of this session at least having learned something, whether it's how to use GitHub Copilot or how to set up an organization, whatever it is. I hope the session was useful for everyone here. And so, as Daisy said, I hope you've also taken note. And if your team member is not here, please tell them how you're going to submit your project. So you're going to create an organization, and then in that organization, you're going to collaborate, and we'll ask for the link for the repository there. So make sure the repository is also public or publicly visible. And last but not least, I think I'll also mention this. You will also be required to submit a 5-minute pitch video. So you'll create a video. The easiest way to do this would be on a Teams call like this, or you can think of any other software that you can use to record your screen. But essentially, I think Teams call would work well. So you create a Teams call, and then in that Teams call, you also get your team members to join. So that would be 4 people on the Teams call, and then you share your screen where you have your pitch deck. A pitch deck essentially is just a set of slides explaining the problem that you're facing or the problem that you're solving for, and then the solution you're bringing, what's the market for your solution, and how you plan to monetize it. So make sure you also create that 5-minute pitch video, no more than 5 minutes. Yes, you can do less than 5 minutes, but I feel like if you do less, you might leave out some details that might be important. So make sure you do like a 5-minute pitch video, and then you also attach that video to the README. So you can do this by just dropping a link to the video. Maybe you upload the video to OneDrive or any other cloud storage, and then now you can put the link there. Again, make sure it's publicly visible. So yeah, I believe that's everything, unless anyone has a question. Okay, so I'm guessing no one has a question, so I believe we can end the meeting here. It was nice learning from Daisy. Thank you so much for the session. Can log off right now. Everybody can have a good night, and tomorrow please make sure you come in for the Azure session. It's really going to be a fun one. You've had your speaker will be coming from Microsoft, so, and she's an AI engineer. You can ask her all the questions you have about Azure. Right, without much ado, I guess I can end the call here. Good night, everyone.
Thank you for the session. Good night.